will turn my volume pretty much all the way up, and yes, I will make sure to remember to record, and I will put y'all's volume right about there. And greetings and salutations, travelers. Welcome back to the Planar Crossroads, and welcome back to our Around the Hearth discussion. This time it's going to be another Trope talk. We're going to put it in our Trope Trove, or whatever we titled that. And as you can tell by the title of this one, we've decided that it's going to be about that big, most of the time dumb tank that soaks up all the damage and is your wall. Before we do that, a quick disclaimer. This is an adult podcast. Sometimes those adults use adult language. You have been warned. And not mostly these adults most of the time, except maybe Ross. Ross is kind of potty mouth sometimes. Shame. He's been really good on our streams, though. But
I mean, it's not like I tend to make it to Around the Hearths. I tend to do a good job of being there for the Rise of the Rune Lords. No.
No.
He's a party pooper. Okay, yeah. I can.
All right.
Ross will remember this.
Ross will remember
Nice.
this. All right, and as you can see, we have another guest, and that is Dan from Bomb Squad, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right,
Hello.
They can find you on the YouTube Avenue Studios, is that correct?
Yep. If you search Bomb Squad RPG, we're usually one of the first ones to come up in there. Actual play YouTube show in Open Legend.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a lot of fun.
Yeah. I've been watching all their stuff. Hashtag Ingrid is best character. I like her the best.
My wife would thank you.
So that's that. And if you want to support the content that you see on the Planar Crossroads, then you can do so on Patreon or Subscribestar. Those are available support methods for you. Does Bomb Squad have a Patreon?
No, not yet. We are just working on content right now, but it's something we're looking at in the future.
Oh, so stay tuned for updates. You may hear something.
Yes.
So, all right, what we're going to do this time, like we said, is talking about the big, beefy tank. And we're going to explore the two systems that we usually do. We're going to explore Pathfinder for a little bit, and then we're going to explore the options for someone in Open Legend, which is one of the reasons that Dan has come over. I had to snap to remember your name because your name says Kristen on it right there.
Oh, does it?
But
I must be logged into my wife's Gmail right now.
wah, wah.
You can call me Kristen. That's fine.
Nah, no, I know your name. I know your name. Right, Ross? I know his name. Yeah. Okay.
He's been saying your name correctly throughout when he's been talking about bringing you on. So I can confirm, seeing as Ross doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
Very, very kind of you.
I mean, I'm just kind of like here right now.
I only give Ross a hard time
you're
about
here
the
with us.
names because in our Rise of the
I
Rune
am
Lord
terrible
games-
with names. This is why I haven't said names yet.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to start in Pathfinder like we usually do. Most of the time we start there because it usually takes the longest. So, Ross, you're pretty comfortable in Pathfinder. So let's see. What would you say is one of the best classes? We'll start with race and class combination to pick for somebody wanting to really not necessarily min-max just the mechanics, but also the fantasy of a big, beefy tank that can really soak up the damage.
The first thing I think of is one of my players in a game that I loved. It was a bit of a horror-themed game, and his name was Tower, because he was a tower shield specialist fighter, and he was just this big old gnoll clad in armor with a tower shield, and my god, was he hard to kill. He was very, very hard to kill. And so, whenever somebody says of tank in Pathfinder, that's the first thing that I go to, that iconic fighter wearing the stupidly heavy armor, carrying around the stupidly big shield. and just marching forward into battle. I know some classes these days, the newer ones like the hybrids and whatnot, have lots of powers and things of that nature that make them arguably somewhat better tanks. For example, if you want something stupidly crazy, you'd probably war priests in general with their sacred armor and all that sort of stuff is really good, and they get forever. War priests in general are good, but I don't know. I tend to find it when I think of big, massive tanks, I tend to think of people with heavy armor proficiency, and often using shields, one-handed weapons and shields or things of that nature. And a lot of the times, I often tend to go towards monstrous races for those natural armor and just that raw, where they're born and bred to be rawly powerful.
Mm-hmm. Now, that tower shield specialist you mentioned, does he dual wield tower shields or no?
No, he went phalanx style, so he could wield pole arms.
Also a good option.
Yeah, he was wielding a halberd and a tower shield, and it was, yeah.
That's some spooky stuff.
Yeah, and that's base fighter class right there, nonetheless. That's just an archetype of fighter. As much as everybody loves to bash on it, fighter does have a lot of good archetypes to it.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're that great class that can kind of specialize in what all they need. And the Null, having the Null as a person for the race seemed like it was a fun choice for them.
Yeah, he liked the race and he liked the idea of it, and he had a really good hyena laugh, so it went along really well. The only problem is that the Null class, as made by Pathfinder, is it's basically non-existent. It's like you might as well just build your own race using traits and whatnot from the custom race maker and call it a Null. That's what I did when he wanted to play one.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the Null and it's only got 6 race points. So
yeah, no, it's really, really pathetic, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's not much going for it. Like, they don't if I remember correctly, they don't even get a bite attack.
No.
Oh, yeah, no, they don't.
They really should.
And they're gnolls. They're hyena people, for Pete's sake.
One of the advantages of Open Legend, you just say, hey, unarmed attack, it's a bite, I have teeth.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm completely fine with that sort of stuff. But traditionally, first thing I think of when it comes to tank in Pathfinder is somebody with heavy armor, big old shields, and just, strength, con, and other stats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would throw out there that as far as it doesn't really necessarily fit for the archetype that I think about, because when I think about a tank like that, just like when I thought about Raceland as the characteristic glass cannon mage that was that explosive mage, that and Megamine.
Yeah.
I also think about Caramon being that characteristic dumb fighter from Dragonlance for those uncultured individuals who don't know who Caramon is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Caramon is...
I'm a 5e refugee, okay? Go easy on my poor soul.
Yeah. Caramon's the twin brother of Raceland. Raceland got all the magic and all the smarts, and Caramon got all the physical stuff. So they were basically just polar opposites of each other, which I feel if you're doing this in a party with a group, that's a great way to build around, because you have those two extremes covered, but there's always that middle ground that needs to be worked with. So it really does encourage team play to have these big gaps in your statistics. If you're playing like you're supposed to, it's a team game. But
I think we've all had an experience of a player or one or two that tend to think of their characters as the main characters of the story. And by that, I don't mean they themselves are the main characters and the other party members are supporting characters. Normally, just pointing this out to people tends to do it well, but that's the first thing that comes to mind when you mention discrepancies with team games.
Yeah.
With that right now myself in a game.
We could have an around the hearth about horror stories if we ever really felt like it.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Well, y'all would definitely win on that one because I've only had like one group that I've played with my entire
Okay.
career.
I've played with several.
Uh-huh.
Oh boy, do I have some horror stories.
Oh, that's another around the hearth.
I mean, I have like
Awesome.
horror stories of having to deal with people, and I have actual horror stories. Take your pick.
Yeah.
I tend to run a lot of horror campaigns. I don't know why.
So, Levi, do you have a specific class race combination that you think works well with the big beefy tank idea?
Well-
Pathfinder, anyway.
Okay. So I'm gonna throw in some third party here.
Ooh.
I know. And then we get into things that really scare people. We're thrown in maneuvers.
Path of War, I know where you're going.
Yeah, I'd hope you would, because it is real strong, real scary, but really fun. So
Oh, yeah.
I'm double checking their exact name.
Is it on
They
the
are the
PFSRD?
warder. Yes.
Yes, it is.
I will send it to you in a bit, because I was looking it up to be sure.
Basically, all of the Dream Scarred stuff is on PFSRD. When you said third-party stuff, I thought you were going to go out there to like Rogue Games or Copal Press or something like that. To be honest,
I see what you mean.
Yeah, to be honest, it feels like at times Dream Scarred stuff's almost 3.75 or 3. I guess 825.
But anyway. I put it in the Discord because I'm on my phone for Google Hangouts.
That's good.
And posting links in that is always annoying for me. Basically, they set up a zone of nope. So, like, their combat patrol the class, they set up a zone of nope, they stare at people and make it so it's harder for them to attack their friends.
And if you want to see how to build one, you can actually go check out our friend Black Dragon. He did do a min-maxing for fun and profit with a Warden.
There you go.
And it's just super scary. Don't worry, they also get tower shields. If
Yeah,
you
don't need to min-max a Warder or most of the Path of
No.
War classes. They are innately powerful from the beginning.
You have lots of defenses. You make it harder to get to your friends.
Heck.
You set up as I said, a zone of nope.
Heck, if you want to go even more like third party and out there with psionics, go with the Aegis from Psionics Unleashed.
Yeah,
They just
I really
form-
like Aegis.
Oh yeah, they just form armor around them for material they grab from the astral plane. It's crazy.
Sounds
Literally
sweet.
just like creating an ectoplasmic armor, like a carapace armor over them.
Mhm.
That one's another one that I think of, but I was thinking we'd start in first,
Sorry, it's
Oh.
just
I
I love it so much. I've never got a chance to actually play a warder, so
Hey, I
Somebody
told
who's
you
played
guys
in-
you could play in Pathfinder in Rise of the Rune
this
Lords,
is not
anything else?
Paizo.
Okay.
This isn't Paizo. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Well, no, I said
It's Dream Scar- it-
okay. I probably need to be clearer then. I probably need to.
If I had known Dream Scarred was
Yeah.
on the table, I would have done some psionic. Thank
Oh
you
no,
very
that's
much.
there we go. That's probably why I didn't do it. There's already enough
Yeah.
casters. There's already enough casters. All right.
Psionic, yeah, she wouldn't have made much of a difference.
Anyway. So, honestly, I don't have any specific race in my head. I would just say, strength penalty, strength bonus, intelligence penalty. Look for that.
So the Nagaji,
Like, it's just
it's a pretty powerful serpentine race.
ooh, I could see a Nagaji.
I mean, good old classic half orc always has orc ferocity.
I mean,
that.
it's true.
That one is just like, you want a core rulebook race good for being a tank, just take a half orc. Being
Or-
able to keep standing even when you're down that low.
You could go full boar, half orc pun, and go full orc. They got a bad tank to their int, but they got a really good strength.
Yeah, but the thing is, and I'm double checking this to be honest, full-blooded orcs. Oh wait, they do get ferocity. Oh
Mhm.
right.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
I was thinking for a second there. I was actually thinking of 5e for a second there. 5e orcs are just a complete and utter downgrade compared to regular orcs.
So yeah,
Like, they don't even get the ferocity trait. It's like, what?
Oh, right. I remember seeing that. That was pretty funny, honestly.
Oh, my God.
but yeah. I think that would be really cool, especially if you themed the warder that you're playing after that reptilian racial stuff, or if you went full on. It would be really funny if you went full on Warcraft orc, and you every time someone asked you to do something, you'd say something you're doing, or I can do that, and you just kind of kept it as minimal as you could every time you responded.
They were wowing us with their WoW impressions earlier.
Yeah, they were wow.
I get it. I get it. I got to say it. Yes.
This horrible.
You snagged that one right out of the air.
Oh yeah, just like a monk who, arguably, if we're gonna, I think one last topic to end on with Pathfinder tanks is oh god, monks.
I was thinking that one.
Oh
I love
god.
monks.
If you want that, like, min-max, if you want the oddly effective tank or something of that, take a monk. Because just wisdom to AC is just so stupidly broken. Especially at higher levels when you get to your magical items that can boost your stats even higher. Or things of that nature. It's weird, but it is fully possible from somebody in just a burlap sack to have as much, if not more, armor than a dude in full adamantine armor with a tower shield.
Mm-hmm.
And they're also a hell of a lot more nimbler.
Yeah.
I was almost picturing, like, what is it, Hinata from Naruto.
Yeah.
Using her chi to make that shield around her.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was kind of clear, I was thinking.
Like, that's
I'm actually, if we go into this, how Pathfinder flavors its monks is, like, you can still go into kind of that, like, Hyuga idea, but, like, it's an enhanced awareness.
Mm.
Yeah.
Generally speaking.
Well, there is a monk not trait, archetype, isn't there? Nagaji actually have monk stuff.
Sweet.
There's also just the flat-out ninja alternative class.
There
or
is.
the Unchained monks.
But the Unchained monks are able to take... I thought there was like a blind master or something like that, where you took a drawback. You had to take a drawback.
There is, but I don't... It's a feat. I don't think it's specifically related to monks, though.
Okay.
I'm pretty certain I've read it, too, though. Either way, I just thought I'd end the Pathfinder segment on the fact that you can still fulfill the role of a tank without being the dude in heavy armor.
Hmm.
Especially with the way power grind and whatnot and all that sort of stuff in Pathfinder goes. Sure, heavy armor's always really good, and arguably, in the long run, it's probably the cheaper one compared to... Because those stat boosting items get expensive at higher levels, whereas it's actually easy to find ways to just temporarily boost your armor and shields and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So did you have anything in the Pathfinder realm, Dan, that you also thought about?
I mean, mostly it was the monk. I am not as familiar with Pathfinder, so...
No worries.
I did.
I'm just going to make a joke about the synthesizers and why they are banned here, but...
Yeah.
Just...
Ooh.
That's a whole other discussion, I think.
That's a whole... That is just...
I'm not sure what that one is.
Okay.
It's OP is what it is.
Basic shtick.
It's like witch level OP.
Okay, so here's the basic shtick. You have a thing where you have an awesome spirit friend pet mix. Most of the time, a summoner will have that come out and fight with them. You instead replace your physical stats with their physical stats and combine as one unit.
And have their HP as a temporary HP pool for you, and get their natural armor, and you can take all of their powerful evolutions. Basically, the summoner's main weakness by default is the summoner themselves. If some people could get away from the Eidolon and get to you, you're in trouble. This gets rid of that.
Yeah.
There's a reason why the synthesizer is banned There's a reason why it's banned from organized play. Not even the witch is banned.
Yeah.
And it's pretty
Yeah.
spooky.
Yeah.
I mean, that could make a good tank then, honestly.
Oh my
Yeah.
god! You
That's
get
point.
basically
Gosh,
two
yeah.
character. You basically get two characters
In one.
Right.
worth of health pools.
It
And
reminds me of, what is it, the Naginata? Is that where they can... I can't remember, where they summon that mystical armor
Oh yeah,
that surrounds them.
yeah.
yeah. I know.
Very much like
that's kind of
that.
actually how it could be flavored, to be honest.
So,
Like
but
I like the idea.
don't do that to your GMs. Don't do that.
Oh
to
god,
your GMs.
yes, no, don't play synthesizers. They
Uh.
are stupidly broken. They are cool, but they are stupidly broken.
Unless you've got a GM that can handle a synthesizer, which means that you're probably going to have encounters that are going to be lopsided against you and not other players.
You specifically too.
Right.
So be aware of that.
It is
Awesome.
it is that much of a power curve. Like the phrase "witches get stitches." Oh boy, it ain't
Witches
a joke.
witches get stitches, and
Awesome.
synths are just nope.
Oh yeah,
So-
no.
All right then. So that's pretty close to everything on Pathfinder. We mentioned it's fair. It's really good to mention the original orc is one of the ones that can do it, at least in my opinion, for the class fantasy of a big dumb
Yeah.
tank. I would be remiss
starting out.
yeah, I would be remiss about
starting out with fighter and all of that.
not mentioning barbarian, because barbarians
Oh,
get a nice
yeah.
big health pool.
You see, that's the thing. I was thinking of barbarians, especially with their DR, and like if you were to take the armored Hulk archetype,
Mm.
it's just barbarians tend to be that berserker sort of like frontline rusher. I don't tend to think of them as like that sort of like you play a barbarian to fulfill the tank role right off the top of my head.
Sure.
Right.
I feel stupid. I'm actually playing a Minotaur Barbarian in 5e as the tank because I'm with all casters.
Oh yeah, no. I mean the
Uh,
barbarian can be a tank. Just
Right.
having a D12 hit dice
Yeah.
makes it
I actually
significantly
think
better.
the 5e Barbarian tanks more immediately than the Pathfinder Barbarian.
Oh my
Because that
god.
resistance.
Oh
I
my
feel
god,
like,
yeah. Why would you
The Pathfinder Barbarian seems to fit more of a physical DPS role than it does
Yeah.
a tank role. And that's simply because of how it plays. Now, it may be different when Pathfinder 2e comes out. I haven't seen the rulebook. But
They
as
did
it stands
change
right
rage
now-
for the better.
they did. They did change rays for the better. Thank you, Paizo.
Oh my god, thank God for that.
So there's that.
A whole other discussion again.
Yeah, a whole other discussion. I thought there was
Oh my
something
God.
else, but probably not. Oh, that's what it
Do you
was.
want to mention druids?
Druids can be tanky. I feel like it's one of those things where you get those mixed classes. Like clerics tend to be considered a mixed class, but the war priest is more of a cleric warrior mix. A paladin is a
They are
mix.
cleric fighter.
Paladins can be tanks, or paladins can be healers. Especially if they get the fighters and the fighters and the paladins work well with the antagonized feats because they have the paladin especially because it has higher charisma.
Almost any divine caster is automatically skewed in a way that makes them really good at being tanks. Because for one thing, all of their magic works no matter what armor they're wearing. So, and a lot of those archetypes and those classes and those archetypes will not even get the heavy armor proficiencies or the medium armor proficiencies or things like that. So, yeah, a cleric also having tanky capabilities is completely possible. I just went with the fighter because I was thinking that's the stereotypical
Yes.
base class sort of answer.
Yes. But the one I wanted to mention was actually the samurai. Because the samurai has its challenge ability, which lets you basically use antagonize on anything without having to take antagonize, though it is a class feature.
Okay.
So there is that option there for those that, and you don't have to flavor it as a samurai. You can just flavor it as something else, but the samurai class, and they have different orders
That
which make it
also-
easier.
That also kind of plays into the whole, like, that is your more traditional MMO style of tank because they have lots of abilities that force enemies to target them and whatnot.
Yep.
Or take massive penalties.
They basically get to have taunts without having to take a feat for it, and they get mounted combat too as your base samurai. So you have that option of mobility to be able to protect from lots of distances.
For reference, similar to the ninja being the alternative class to the rogue / monk, arguably, the samurai is an alternative to the fighter.
Fair. All right.
Just thought I'd state that for the record.
Yep. So that's enough talk about Pathfinder
Cavalier.
First Edition, because we could keep going because it has a bunch of class things for it. Let's move on.
Good old-fashioned bloat.
Yeah. Let's move on to one with absolutely no real bloat that I've seen. Open Legend. And because he's our guest...
It was nice talking to you guys. I'll talk to you later.
Because he is our resident, or our guest, we will let Dan go first when it comes to Open Legend. So...
All right.
Building a big dumb tank.
Big dumb tank. So there is a couple things. Let's see. First, attributes, and I guess it depends on what level, of course, you're building at, but
we usually just go for something like you got starting out, and then what are going to be the most important stats to play with, basically.
Yep, right. So, I mean, people will go for protection right away, thinking tank. I would probably look at the nice thing about protection is you get the nullify bane or boon. I always get them mixed up. Nullify gets rid of other banes, and then restoration, which clears banes on your players. Mm-hmm. My initial thought is to do might, of course, or fortitude for high HP, and then attribute sub, either protection into one of those or vice versa.
Okay.
And the question is, do you want? There's two ways really to do it in Open Legends. Is if you're doing a tank with just massive HP, because I think even at level 1 you can get close to 70 HP to start, which in Open Legend HP is a much smaller number. It's a much more scarce resource.
Yeah, when you for spoilers for those who haven't watched it, but Addy took damage that at his level in Pathfinder wouldn't have been as big a deal. But in Open Legend, it was a bigger deal because once you out of the HP, you're directly into lethal damage. There's no unconscious necessarily. They can just go straight for it. So,
yeah, it gets pretty intense. That's why the healing is kind of a big deal in Open Legend. And you're also to think about your HP doesn't scale as you level up. It's only if you choose to invest in the attributes that add to your HP.
Mm.
So
So
there's either
might and protection is what we're looking at.
That's one way to go. You don't have to do protection to build a tank. You could just do HP. Because the other thing is the battlefield retribution, going for the defender or sentinel. Because in Open Legend, one of the big actions is the defend action, which is an interrupt action you can do at any time to try and defend an attack. And basically you roll your attribute, and your role becomes the defense against the attack. So to me, for a tank, and I'm thinking too, like the Orc or the Minotaur, with the shield and protecting people, the defend action and Sentinel. Sentinel's going to be your big feat that you want to be looking at, because that allows you to do multiple defend actions in a round.
Which is real big.
Huge.
Real nice on the action economy. Defend multiple people at a time. Well, not at a time specifically, but like over the course of a round, you can defend more people.
Right. And I think I got to look it up. Do I remember? I think you get advantage too with Sentinel as well on the.
There's a different one. There's
different. Okay.
Yeah, let me double check. Because each time you take Sentinel, you get another one. But there's a specific one to give you advantage per.
Yeah.
It costs 2
right.
per.
Yeah, Sentinel just gives you extra defense.
Oh,
Right.
What was it?
If you're going, if you're going for someone who is hard to hit, then you do this a little differently, correct?
Right.
Different type of protection.
And you could do two different ways, and it would be what your flavor would be, because might and agility go into your guard, which is mostly what attacks are going against. Toughness would be next. And of course, if we're doing the unintelligent, your resolve's probably going to be low, so you're not worried about that. So you could either, like we were just talking about, the monk, you could do a high agility character, flavor that they're just so fast that they can't be hit. Or you put your points still into might, and instead they just don't feel the hits. They're still taking it, but they don't feel it. It just doesn't stop them.
And you could flavor that as either might or fortitude, for
Right.
them not feeling it. And I say that you can build somebody pretty powerful when you're doing or pretty hard to hit, because I built somebody named the Shield, and he's got 18 guard, 19 toughness, and 21 resolve. Now, if you take the points that you've invested in resolve and start to put 5s in other places, you can start to bump up that guard and that toughness. And for flavor-wise, that guard is that defender that's... he's the dude that is going to be holding a shield and stuff like that. The toughness is more for somebody who's like the barbarian, who's those things are hitting him, but they're just bouncing off. And then the resolve tank doesn't necessarily fit into this little trope. So we'll just let that go for now.
It's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
So I like it.
So those are the ones that you would want to invest into. You would look for Sentinel as a feat. There's also... I actually do need to go back to him.
Armor Mastery is a fun feat if you're going with the heavily armored. If you don't want to go heavily armored, you can definitely go Battle Trance and... Is it natural armor? How's it phrased? I'm trying to remember what it's called.
Oh, yeah. Tough as nails ups your...
Tough as nails ups the HP.
What is it?
I think I accidentally found it.
It's natural something.
Natural defense.
Natural defense, yes.
Yeah, that's the one I was
Because that one ups your... Yeah, that one ups both your guard and your toughness.
Well, natural defense ups... no, it's extraordinary defense. Extraordinary defense ups everything. Every time you invest into it.
And I think, isn't extraordinary cost 3?
It costs 3 per.
Right, versus
and it requires
natural
move
defense.
or protection or something.
Yep. Natural defense goes a little bit towards something like an orc or a minotaur who had, because it's fortitude based, and it's only tier 3. You only need a fortitude of 2, but it is only guard and toughness. So you could potentially have that right away if you want to do something like that where it's just really hard to hit. Because you've got, at level 1, you could have all of those.
Now, if you're investing into this higher, you've got some experience under your belt and stuff like that, and you're investing into other things, then there are those Bane focus. You can do Bane focus depending on which Bane you're invoking most of the time. Forced move, stuff like that. Those are really good Banes for positioning.
Yeah. The other one I think of for something, to me, I imagine like a paladin-esque character or something, is provoked, because that gets, the attacker gets disadvantage unless they're attacking the provoker. So the character's trying to draw attacks away from everybody else onto him.
Yes, which works differently in Open Legend, because it's not like 5e where it doesn't stack, which I'm glad about, because advantage and disadvantage should stack, so that it's worth something, in my opinion. So
yes,
yep. And provoked can be used from either your... Let me see. You need persuasion, might. There we go. You can use might.
Yeah, might.
Really, if you're looking...
agility as well.
Yeah, if you're looking to invest in a score that's going to get you a lot of dividends, might's a good score. Might and agility are good scores to invest in, because you can do a lot of stuff with might and agility.
And that's where I always throw out the attribute substitution can always sometimes be nice. It's actually not that expensive fee point wise. It's only 2 for the first one, and then if you want to be able to use Banes and Boons, you have to spend 4 fee points. So you're going to want probably Might or Agility with this type of build. So if you want something like movement or protection, if your GM allows it, to somehow link those two together is a efficient way to do that.
Ooh, if you were playing like a golem thing actually made out of the substance that is defensive, you could go with your fortitude and sub it into your agility or something like that. You'd probably have good might as a construct.
Yeah.
But the agility is a big problem for a lot of beefy things. But if you're just made to weather the storm type of situation, then subbing might or even protection, depending on if it's an arcane golem or not, or however you want to flavor that, into agility can make a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're at 36 minutes. Any other comments, stuff like that, before we go ahead and tell everybody that we got it all right and we didn't get anything wrong and did all this stuff?
Yeah.
You hit the record button this time.
I hit the record button!
Yay.
So the max HP I've been able to get myself to have at level 1 was 46, which is pretty huge in Open Legend.
Yeah. That's crazy high for Open Legend.
Like, we're talking taking Toughest Nails twice for 10 HP. I've got a 5 Fortitude, a 4 Will, a 4 Presence.
Yeah, that'll do it.
And then, to seal the deal, you take Die Hard, so that way the first time you get knocked out, you're not knocked out.
Uh-huh.
Nice.
Well, see, there you go. If you want to see Levi's build in its own video, let us know in the comment section below. All right. Anything else?
I'll just throw one last thing. Play this trope. It's so much fun because I'm playing it right now, and it's so much fun to play.
Oh yeah,
I love it.
Being the big dumb guy.
My Minotaur has a Russian accent, and it's awesome.
I am strong. It is Egor.
That's why I love Egor.
Everybody likes Kane's characters. Well, most of the time, people like Kane's characters. I haven't had anybody not like them. All right. Well, in that case, we hope you have a great day. God bless, and goodbye. Bye.
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 Oh, that was almost harmonious.
This content was made possible by travelers and viewers like you. Thank you.